All right, body paragraph 2 is structured the exact same way, except the main idea of the topic is different. Obviously, the topics are different, but this paragraph is a contrast paragraph. So where body paragraphs 1 and body paragraphs 3 are compare, body paragraph 2 is a contrast. So you are contrasting certain elements. The main idea, the main topic of the paragraph is that you are contrasting the part that Tamas's test was official and Jerry's test was unofficial. So in your chart, you will be using these two rows. So you will be using who assigns the test and how that's different, and that their reasons to pass the test are different. This will be the first half of the paragraph. This will be the second half of the paragraph. So again, don't forget to use your chart, and don't forget to use that quotes review presentation that is linked in the top to help you with your data points. But body paragraph 2. With all body paragraphs 2 and 3, we start with a linking topic sentence. That's where we refer back to the previous paragraph that we just covered and then introduce the topic of the current paragraph. So I have a fill-in-the-blank sentence for you. While, and then refer back to the topic of body paragraph 1. So while something about the tests requiring courage, the tests are different because, and then somehow introduce this topic. The tests are different because something about the difference between one test being official and unofficial. Just figure out how you want to word that. Tons of right answers for how to word that. Next, you'll have your setup sentence. This is where you introduce part 1, the first half of your paragraph. So the first way the tests are different is, and then you need to introduce the first point of contrast. And the first point of contrast is right here. It's also what's in your chart on that third row. So it's who assigns the test, because that is very different from Tamas's story than Jerry's story. But this little chart here should look familiar. It's the exact same as body paragraph 1. So you're on Tamas's side first, so give me a little information. Write one of those sentences with a context and a data point and a citation of who assigned Tamas's test. Then your warrant, how does this moment prove that Tamas's test is official? Next, then you'll go to your transition. So since we're contrasting this paragraph, you might want to use a transition like while, or unlike that, or just something that shows that Tamas's test is official and Jerry's test is unofficial. So you don't really want to transition like in addition, because you're kind of moving from different sides of this contrast. Then you repeat the same steps over for Jerry. So you need a data point for him. So find maybe when he sees the boys or when he decides he wants to do this, but something about him kind of assigning the test to himself. And how does him assigning the test to himself prove that the test is unofficial? That's what you need to explain in your warrant, and then you need another one of those overall warrants. So explain how, who assigns the test overall, so what you have here for Tamas and what you have here for Jerry. How does that show difference? Then you have your internal link where you move to the second part of this paragraph. So along with point of contrast number 1, so somehow word this. The tests are also different because, and then we're moving to our point of contrast number 2. So the point of contrast number 2 is the fourth row in the chart, and that is because each boy has a different reason to pass the test. Jerry obviously has to pass his test, as do all boys in his tribe, where Jerry, no one's really holding him accountable, right? He chose this for himself, so his reasons to pass the test are very different than Tamas's. Repeat the same exact steps for this chart. Again, don't forget about that transition. This transition can be a word, it can be a short phrase, it can even be a full sentence if you wanted it to. Whatever you think flows best in your writing. But again, make sure your data points coincide with what you put in your chart and that they have one of those sentences where you have the context that builds into the quote from the story. And then at the end, you have in parentheses the author's last name and an accurate page number. Make sure you have your warrants showing how the characters' reasons, so what you put here, how are their reasons, how do the reasons prove that their test is either official or unofficial, and then your overall warrant. How does what you put here and what you put here, how does that show difference? So how do the boys' reasons to pass the test prove that they are different, prove that their tests are different? Finally, then, you just need a finishing line, so just one sort of summary sentence to wrap up this entire paragraph. This will be your only contrast paragraph. And this is your video for body paragraph 2. If you have questions or want me to check anything over, please reach out.